Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Maze MTG here, back with another deck tech video from the Commence the Endgame Counters event on Magic the Gathering Arena. So the two decks we've had a look at already are Green, White and Simic decks. They both had kind of an aggro mid-range slant, making lots of small creatures with counters, looking to get value out of cards like Zhang Yangu, Nissa, Sharktocrab especially in the Simic deck. So I thought we'd try something a little bit different for this video here. So something I noted a lot of times when we were looking at board states as presented was if an opponent had a card like a Ritual of Soot, like a Kaya's Wrath, they'd be able to get very far ahead, because the format kind of relies on you committing to the board. And as well, on top of that, if you're not going to be getting any value in a turn off a +1/+1 counter on a creature or a Planeswalker, you do get that Amass token, and that Amass token's pretty good at chump blocking as well. Add into the fact that Teferi, Time Raveler, becomes very annoying when he's getting 2 loyalty a turn between +1 and the static effect of the emblem, and he can -3 a lot more frequently than he normally would be able to, and I think it's time that we try some sort of Esper control package to see how that goes in the event. I've got my 10 wins already, so this isn't something I'm going to be playing to 10 wins, but it is something I want to take into a couple of games in a moment and see how it does. So let's get into the deck. The mana base first. We've got 26 lands, 4 of each appropriate check and shock, and then 1 basic plains, 1 basic swamp, because we do want to try and make Kaya's Wrath on 4 a reasonable percentage of the time. 2 mana spells, we have 1 Search for Azcanta, 4 Thought Erasure, kind of staple cards currently in the Esper control decks in the standard metagame. However, one thing that might be unusual are 4 copies of Cast Down. So this format doesn't really lend itself to legendary creatures being deployed by your opponents, in which case Cast Down is a 2 mana instant speed hard removal spell that just kills anything that hasn't already been swept away by a sweeper or wouldn't die to Ritual of Soot otherwise. For Narset, Parter of Veils, because she's going to be getting an additional loyalty counter every turn from the emblem, you do get to use her typically more than twice, assuming she's not under any pressure, and she digs you to your wraths and other planeswalkers. An already good card gets better in this format. Same deal with Teferi Time Raveler, as we spoke about a moment ago. It really is the -3 that we're looking to get the most use out of on this card, but there's no harm in shutting down your opponent's instant speed interaction as well, and being able to set up instant speed wraths can be quite the blowout. Our 4 mana slot consists entirely of board sweepers, 4 Kaya's Wrath for the hard removal on all creatures. If some of ours would have died, we would have gained some life, but the only ways this deck has to produce creatures are Liliana and Ugin. 3 Ritual of Soot rounds out the removal package at the 4 converted mana cost slot, destroying all creatures with CMC 3 or less. Ritual of Soot is better positioned in this format than it would otherwise be in Standard, because a lot of the decks have that aggressive slant. They're looking to curve out with 1 mana plays into 2 mana, into 3 mana, and into Ritual of Soot. That sets your opponent back to 0, and they will be down a number of cards typically from that exchange. 5 mana slot, the last 3 wraths in the deck in the form of Cleansing Nova. Again, we just want to be able to destroy all creatures. Teferi can make it instant speed, but really, that's not going to be necessary a lot of the time. For Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, the emblem can act as a win condition. Drawing a card is just very powerful, and then tucking a permanent would normally take Teferi down to 1 loyalty the turn you play him. However, the emblem is going to put him back up to 2, so you can be a bit more aggressive with putting an opponent's creature or permanent back into their library. Lastly, we have the big 6 mana planeswalkers, 1 Ugin the Ineffable with that fantastic stained glass art style, which is the reward for 10 wins in this event, and 2 Liliana Dreadhorde General. Rather than playing 3 Liliana, you do want the 2-1 split in case you draw both, but Liliana's slightly more powerful in this deck, creating the zombies, drawing you some cards, and her -9 gives her a game winning, or at the very least, an ultimate that's likely to make your opponent concede the game. So this is the list. This is the list we're going to take into a couple of games. What do you think about playing Esper Planeswalkers in the Counters event? What do you think about Esper Planeswalkers in general, in Standard? Anything you want to say at all, please leave some comments below. I love responding to them. But otherwise, we're going to get into some games. Okay then, time for some gameplay with the Esper Planeswalkers deck. This hand is pretty typical of every Esper deck ever, where we have lands that are not the correct colour of mana for the rest of our spells. However, we have 17 black sources in the deck. We have a Narset we can cast with any land. I think this is probably fine. We have Wraths to catch us up if we do fall behind. I don't want to go down any cards. Kumena's Speaker, Battling a Merfolk. So we do draw the Isolated Chapel straight away, which is pretty good for us. We'll have this Fountain End to tap and pass. We have a zombie to block a zombie, so it's just Speaker that's kind of breaking board parity currently. And that would be doing it, whatever happened, whether we were playing this event or playing Standard. So this is fine. Next turn, we'll see whether we want to Erasure or Cast Down. We may want to Cast Down wherever this counter goes. Yeah, we're going to be killing the Kumena Speaker. Do we want to block? So next turn... This is going to be a 2-2, isn't it? So no, we don't want to block. We're just going to kill the 3-3. No, kill the 4-4, sorry. Okay, so we do have Kaya's Wrath. We have no guarantee that we're going to hit the second black anytime soon. I think we just cast down the Speaker and pass. Well, yes. We don't want opponent to untap and have something like the Swift Warden, the one that grants the Merfolk Hexproof, or just a way to stop that from happening, like Spell Pierce, some other form of interaction. But we knew we definitely wanted to do it, so there's no reason to wait until the opponent's turn. Deep-Root Elite's fine. We're going to take our 1. So we still haven't drawn another black, but I would like to Surveil. And opponent's board's not particularly threatening at this point. So what do we have? We have a Herald of Secret Streams, a Deep-Root Elite, a Mistbinder. So which of these is bad? Worst for us, I should say. Probably the Mistbinder, seeing as opponent's on 2 mana. Deep-Root Elite's granting, what, 1 counter currently? That's not the end of the world. We'll take the Mistbinder. Cleansing Nova's a tough one, because I would quite like Cleansing Nova. But Cleansing Nova, we still need to draw a land to cast, but it can be any land. And next turn we do have another Thought Erasure plus Cast Down. Alright, I think we leave the Nova there. Not attacking, just going to get a 3-3. Opponent's turn. I imagine they make like the Skydiver a bit chunkier with this Deep-Root Elite trigger. If we go too many turns without a Wrath, this could get a bit out of control. Opponent sends the Deep-Root Elite. We'll take 3. We can always trade next turn. So actually, my plan of Thought Erasuring and Cast Downing is made kind of awkward by the fact that we don't actually have a second black. So the same problem with Kaya's Wrath is actually the case for our 2/2 mana spells. Should have thought about that one, eh? So then the question becomes, do we want to Narset, but what's Narset really looking for? Like Little Teferi? I think we just cast down the Skydiver and wait for some more time. Because if we draw another land that doesn't make black mana, we can like Narset plus Thought Erasure next turn. I don't think opponent will have drawn anything. I guess we'll pass, because they do have a Deep-Root Elite. We want to see where they put the counters before we cast this cast down. This is probably the turn where we trade zombies as well, if we get the chance. Opponent has a land. What's opponent's follow-up to the land? A Jade Light Ranger? That's a pretty good follow-up, sure. Opponent's just working out their triggers, I imagine, right now. Because Deep-Root Elite is seeing Jade Light Ranger entering the battlefield, and it is a Merfolk. I imagine the counter's not going to go on the Skydiver. Where's Deep-Root Elite putting the counter? On the Jade Light Ranger? Yeah, this is fine. There's a Jade Light Ranger on top. What does opponent want to do with it? Get rid. And they get a land. So Herald is going live next turn. Oh, they put the counter on the Elite itself. That's interesting. So just have a proliferating board at this point. So we're definitely going to cast down the Skydiver. Okay, so we draw Watery Grave. So we have Wrath capability. And if we Wrath, we get the first 1/1 zombie. So I would like to Wrath here. And I think the Wrath will cast us. Well, I guess if we're Wrathing, there's no reason to attack the 4/4 into the 5/5. I guess there's no reason not to if we're definitely Wrathing. And we are definitely Wrathing. Let's see if opponent blocks. They may just take 4. Wow, okay. And that's why you always attack before you Wrath. Kaboom. Destroy all creatures. So now Herald is a lot less scary. Herald is a 2-3 for 4. Next turn is probably our turn to play Narset plus Thought Erasure. Wildgrowth Walker. What's this? We got a Branch Walker? Oh, Skydiver. Okay. Maybe we do Wrath again. Ooh, we drew Teferi. Never mind. So what we're going to do? Teferi, Tuck. Oh, Teferi, draw a card. Because this gets to block here. This does attack Teferi. I don't really like that this attacks Teferi. But then opponent probably does play Herald. If this attacks us, opponent draws a card. But then we get like Kaya's Wrath, Thought Erasure the turn after. I think we just stick Teferi and draw a card. We might draw a cast down, to be fair.
Sorry, hurry.
Let me draw a Watery Grave. We'll put this in tapped. And not attack. Yeah, sure, some triggers happen. Okay, so we'll untap. Typical Esper 2 mana colours. Having our removal at the ready. All of our removal that we definitely have. 100%. Yep, Branch Walker, fine. We're going to chump with this 2-2 anyway. Yep. So we're chumping Wildgrowth Walker. I imagine Skydiver comes at... I don't know where Skydiver's going. Oh, I guess they both go to Teferi because they didn't play Herald. Yeah, that's fine. We'll block.
I won't let you win.
This is okay for us. If we draw land, we get to play Narset and Wrath, presumably. We drew another Cleansing Nova. Let's draw a card first.
We need to move quickly.
What do we draw? Ooh, the 7th mana. Yeah, we'll play Chapel then. Then we'll play Wrath. This leaves us Narset mana? Yeah, fantastic. Sweep the board. Deploy Narset Spaghetti. Minus. Take Liliana, because she's how we end this game. I mean, Teferi Ultimate is one way to do it, but I'd like to get the game on video and it not be 45,000 hours long. So that's the plan. An opponent does concede to us. Cool. So, win with Esper Planeswalkers. Pretty interesting game against Merfolk. Let's play another in a moment. Okay then, back for another game with Esper Planeswalkers. And would you look at that, we are still missing the double black in every hand we ever draw. But we do have a cast down, we have a play on 3, we have Ritual of Soot and Nova, we have to keep this. There's no universe where we don't keep this. Opponent plays a green land, so we're probably not playing the mirror, thankfully. Chamber Sentry is pretty good on 1 though. Ooh, we did draw the black though, and we get to presumably cast this down. So that's pretty good. We just have to make sure opponent doesn't overrun us before we can Ritual of Soot. These decks typically don't have many... Ooh, Simic. Skydiver. Yeah, these decks don't typically have many 4 converted mana cost creatures. They're usually playing like a Planeswalker. Simic does have Shark to Crab, as we saw ourselves. Are we blocking with this 1-1? What are we playing next turn? Well, our creature's never going to outsize Chamber Sentry, so we may as well just save the life and just chum block for days. We drew Glacial Fortress. Put a Fortress in untapped. And then we're going to be casting something down at the very least. Do we just want to main phase the cast down? No, opponent might do something. Incredible commentary there. Opponent might do something. They might like Pollen Bright Druid, well, they would proliferate, probably. Maybe we should have just main phase this cast down. Maybe. We're going to cast down the Skydiver though, because currently we can just chump Chamber Sentry for days. Just chumpy pumpy. Hadana's Climb. Yeah, see? So actually we are rewarded, because wherever this counter goes, presumably Skydiver, we get to cast down. And this stops Climb flipping. Otherwise opponent would have been able to flip Climb by picking the other creature. I don't want opponent getting bonus lands. Climb is going to flip next turn anyway, unless we find a way to remove this Chamber Sentry, which we don't. The question then becomes, are we just playing Narset? I think we are. Chamber Sentry can just like straight up do 10 to us next turn. But that means we get to kind of Ritual of Soot 1-for-1 it. This is fine. And if opponent does attack Narset, she's saving us up to 10 damage. So we have 2 Wraths already. I don't think we want another. I would quite like it a Teferi. We don't get a 1-1 because Narset proliferates, unfortunately. But I imagine Sentry will kill Narset? I don't know, we'll see. Haven't seen a Hadana's Climb in these decks yet. That's a sweet little addition. That is a very sweet little addition to the opponent's deck. Merfolk Skydiver, sure. So kind of playing into this Ritual of Soot anyway. So even if we... and Jade Bearer. Yeah, this is all fine. Yep. Hopefully this isn't Negate as the last card in the opponent's hand. But if it is, we get to try and Wrath again the turn after, so it's not the end of the world.
I was not prepared for this.
Narset goes down. Poor Narset. She never asked for this. Opponents got something. Pollenbriar Druid. Okay, so we just get to 4 for 1 our opponent as we untap. And that's kind of the power of this deck. All of these aggressive and mid-rangey decks just can't play, well, just don't play around Wraths, I should say. And we're going to get a 1/1 zombie out of this exchange as well. These do all have CMC 3 or less, right? Yeah, cool. So we'll just Ritual, get our zombie. Opponent would like to explode to a Wrath. GG. So we played a couple of games with Esper Planeswalkers. The Wraths were about as strong as we were expecting in the format. A lot of the decks encourage players to overextend into them, and when Ritual of Soot usually kills everything the opponent's played up to turn 4, it's a very big swing in your favour to allow your Planeswalkers to then come down and close out the game. So while it's not probably the most fun I've had playing the Counters event, it's undeniably a strong strategy, a genuine legitimate strategy in the format, and if you do want to achieve wins in the format to get that Stained Glass style before next Friday, it's certainly a deck I'd consider trying out. What did you think about the deck? What did you think about the gameplay? What did you think about the video? Please let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, you think you might enjoy my further content, if you do subscribe, it's much appreciated as well. You can set notifications that allow you to be notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to catch any gameplay live, there is a link in the description below as well to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MazeMTG. But if you have got all the way through the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I'll see you all next time.